Okay, so checking to see how you did with factoring. This does follow the sum of two perfect cubes, so we would have had x plus 3 times x squared plus 3x plus, when you square the 3, you get 9. Now, how do you remember this pattern without having to look back at the formula? Well, there's a few things that can help you. One, looking at the sign that you started with, I gave you the sum. The other three signs follow a pattern. The first one is always the same as the sign you started with. The second one is always, oh, I did that wrong, sorry, excuse me. The second one is always different. Look at that. I checked myself and I see that I got the pattern wrong. So the second one is always different. And then the last one is always positive. So this actually should have been x plus 3 times x squared minus 3x plus 9. So if you want to write the memory tool off to the side, SDP, you'd think of San Diego Padres to help you remember those letters, but they stand for the signs, which are same, different, and then positive. Okay, let's try factoring one more just to make sure that we have this pattern down. Okay, looking at this factoring, first thing we have to ask is which two cubes are we working with? 27 is the result of 3 cubed, and x cubed is the result of x cubed. So this a term would be 3x. The b term, looking at 64, it's the result of 4 cubed. Now look at the sign, it's a minus. So now we're working with the difference of two perfect cubes. So when I factor this down, I have the same sign as minus, 3x minus 4, times the first term squared, 3x squared. Now I need a different sign, plus the two numbers multiplied together, 4 times 3x, plus, the last one's positive, the last term squared. So if we simplify this out, it factors down to 3x minus 4 times, now 3x squared is the result of 3x times 3x, so it would be 9x squared, plus 12x plus 16, and that's what it factors down into. Okay, now it's important that you know how to factor it, because looking at the problem on the next page, it's a cubic. We know we have to have 3 answers, but the only way to find all 3 answers is by factoring. So here's our number that we need to factor, x cubed minus 8. That's the result of x cubed minus 2 cubed. So we factor that down. That becomes x minus 2 times x squared plus, remember it's a different sign than what you started with, plus 2x plus 2 squared, which would be 4. Now we're solving for x here. That's why the equation's equal to 0. Now you know to find the zeros, you set both of the factors equal to 0 and solve for x. So if I set x minus 2 equal to 0 and add the 2, I find one answer, x is equal to 2. And that's the one that would actually show up on your graph. Looking at the other factor here, x squared plus 2x plus 4, well, first you might want to check, can I mac this? Can I break it down into a nice factor like x minus 2, which would be easy to solve for x? But when we look at it, there's no two numbers that multiply to be 4 but add up to be 2. So instead, we're going to have to use the quadratic formula. Now, a quick reminder, we reviewed it on the first day of second semester. It's the opposite of b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. So what we have to be careful of now is what we plug in for a, b, and c. The coefficient next to x squared is 1, so a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, and c is equal to 4. So we plug these in, and we have the opposite of 2 plus or minus square root of 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is 4, all over 2 times our a value, which is 1. Okay, now it's a matter of simplifying. So we simplify this out, and we get negative 2 plus or minus square root. Look at the number under the radical. 2 squared is 4. Negative 4 times 4 is negative 16. So what's 4 minus 16? Negative 12. all over 2. Now we can't leave it like this because this can still be simplified. If there's a negative under the radical, that tells you that this is an imaginary number. That's why it didn't show up on the x-axis. So when I take a look at this, I would see this as the square root of -4 times the square root of 3, and that'll become 2i square root 3. So I rewrite my answer, -2 plus or minus 2i square root of 3 all over 2. And the last thing we can do is, since there's a factor of 2 in all 3 terms here, we can divide it out. We have -1 plus or minus I root 3 over 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So here's our 2 answers for x. X is equal to -1 plus I root 3, and x is equal to -1 minus I root 3. So there are our 3 answers for x, 1, 2, 3. Okay, example 6. Try this one on your own, and then I'll show the answer up and see if you got the correct answer. So take a few minutes and try this on your own. I'm going to temporarily remove the paper to give you those few minutes to try it. And I'm going to be completing it as well. Good job.